All right, guys. Hitting the Rutgers game review here. Player of the game defensively was T.J. Simmons. Had 5 tackles, 2 assists, caused fumble. Had some decent play. He was the only guy. Took us 1-2. We thought our several defensive linemen had solid games with led by Bobby Richardson, Darius Latham, and Nate Hoff. Those 3 guys were solid. Our back end, corner secondary play, safety play just wasn't very good. Missed tackles, missed opportunities, a chance to make some plays. We didn't get done that we needed. Offensively, player of the game, Tevin Coleman, strong game for sure. Career highs not only in yards but also carries, 32 carries. Other guys on offense that played well, Michael Cooper, tight end, his best game blocking for us, which really helped the run game. Colin Rorick, Jake Reed played well. Really thought Shane Wynn and Alexander Diamont played well, but a couple turnovers. Shane had a drop pass opportunity on a touchdown, and Xander was loose with the ball, but really just appreciated their effort. We didn't give those guys winning grades, but thought they made a bunch of plays. It was good to see, and nice to see Xander keep growing, and I think Shane's doing a great job leading and helping us off the field in a lot of ways. Good game for him. Didn't really recognize the player of the game special team. We had a couple positive, but a bunch of negative plays in special team, which was a concern. Scouts of the week were Brandon Groovy, who plays special teams, backup safety, did a nice job for us. Tyler Lukens, an offensive lineman, always does well, and Anthony Davis. Looking at that game again, defensively, solid in the first half. We had 7 3 and outs for the game, which was nice. We had 1 fumble recovery. We had 3 other opportunities we missed on, though. We had another caused fumble. The ball was on the ground for quite a while we didn't get to. Had a missed interception, actually a missed interception opportunity before the fumbled punt, back-to-back plays where we could have had gotten a pick. Then we had a fumbled punt on an error there. We also had a batted ball that had a chance to be intercepted that we couldn't make a play on. So had 3 more opportunities, only got 1. We had 10 points allowed in the first half, a pretty solid performance. Thought they played really, really well. Concern again to come out and give up 260 plus in the second half and 5 touchdown scores, 12 missed tackles in the second half alone. We're in position and didn't get guys on the ground. 0 sacks for the game. Which was a little unusual there, or something that needs to be corrected. So didn't like that. From the offensive side, some positives, and we had 377 yards gained rushing, and that's Tevin had a lot, but the line was blocking pretty solid and tight end perimeter play. We threw it enough to kind of open up and give us some chances to get a few plays. Perimeter blocking was well, but the offense had 5 sacks, so we had 0. For our defensive side, but we gave up 5. Those 5 sacks and the fake punt we lost actually yielded 83 negative yards. Got us back down to 300 for the game. We threw the ball better for sure. And you can look at stats, 15 to 31. But we had a penalty procedure that took away a 19-yard completion. We had 4 drops on 3rd down that would have been 20, 10, and 6-yard completion. So if you make those plays, the quarterback tech was close to a 21 for 31, 254-yard day, so a nice improvement. You don't get those plays, and humans are going to drop balls. You're not going to get them all. But instead of a 179 day, he was close to a really good day, and it was good to see, and we need to build on that. Our O-line tight end blocking was better. 5 sacks we had, though, 1 on the tight end, 2 on the quarterback, and then 2 on the offensive line. So, again, that's not always a line deal with sacks, not protecting those guys, but our tight end got beat once on a max pro, and the quarterback went the wrong way twice and got jacked. That hurt him. Special teams, we've been solid, but we had way too many critical errors, self-inflicted wounds. We got the onside kick, which is a nice start. Had a field goal tip block there before the half. They led the country for years and second this year in blocked kicks. Our protection on our kicking game was very, very good. But our issues were we had 1 large punt coverage that really led to points for them. We had 3 large kickoff coverage plays, and we've been really good the last couple of years in that deal. They popped 3 nice kick returns on us. So 4 return game, big plays we didn't like. We had the fumble on a short punt with miscommunication between Shane and the guy blocking for him, and Shane's responsibility to try to get guys blocking. He doesn't see the thing, and even on the road, it's kind of loud, but there's communication that's got to happen that gave them their first score. We missed the field goal. So we just had some negatives there. We had 9 penalties. Previous 3 weeks, we'd had 3, 4, and 5, and in the last 2 weeks against Penn State, and last week we've had 11 and 9. So we go from 12 penalties in 3 games to 20 and 2. So we've gotten a little sloppy in that regard. We had 3 turnovers. We had 5 sacks. We had a kick turnover, 4 big returns. You lose the turnover ratio. You lose the kicking battle. You lose the penalty battle. Third down, we had 4 drops on third down, a penalty, 3 sacks. So, I mean, we just had some plays that really skewed our third downs. The positive for us, as we look at it, I think the guys' effort is awesome. The way they practice, prepare, I appreciate the way they come out and play and fight. When there's a lot of negativity or guys say things aren't going well for them, they fight their tails off. And I appreciate that. I think it says a lot about the seniors and the leaders and what those guys have given us. I think their energy's been awesome. I thought our toughness on the road in the first half and the way we played D and the 3 and outs and the way the offense ran the ball and the offense improved shows some toughness that you want. I like our leadership and I really like our senior attitude. I need the young guys to keep growing. And we need some consistency, not with effort, but some consistency with getting your job done and executing. So we'll keep pushing that. And from there, we got Ohio State, of course, this week. Tremendous team, very talented, all phases, really, really good. Very well coached, as always. Great challenge, great opportunity. Big East road game, got them every year. Looking forward to it. That's why we talk about guys about coming here, playing these teams, playing on the road, playing great opponents. Look forward to having a great week. Keep building this crowd, these seniors, getting those guys continue to lead this team the right way and keep building it and finish up this week. And then now with the situation not being a bowl team, the bucket week, but having a great week and going to Columbus and having a great opportunity, playing as hard as we can and playing as well as we can against Ohio State at noon on Saturday. Questions?
What's the key to making sure that these guys don't hang their heads at this point and believe that they could beat Ohio State?
Well, again, we've always kind of went after guys as best we could, and I think, you look at whether it be this year, the way they've played the last couple weeks, I don't think there's a lot of give up in them. I think we're getting better with the quarterback deal, and we've settled into there a little bit. I think we've shown some signs in defense that we can play. It's going to be a very, very good challenge because of their skill set, receiver, running back, quarterback line. It's going to really, really challenge the defense. We're going to have to play great team D, but again, we have competed. We got to compete well on the road. We got to compete well on the road against a good team. I think that'll be the challenge. We've played some teams very, very well, but playing a really good team on the road and taking that step is going to be a challenge. We talked about it last night, and we're not going to hang our heads as coaches. I don't think those kids are. I expect to have a good week. Let's put together our best plan. Let's go attack and play as well as we can, and I expect our guys to do so. The way the seniors have consistently done it, I believe they'll lead us that way. I don't think so. We only had like 60-some plays, during the game, 67 plays. So, the offense, had their couple 3 and outs, but, you're just in position to make a play. You make a tackle, and at the same time, as an offensive player, you can get yards after hit, and their guys did. We didn't get them on the ground, and like I say, there were a couple guys that sometimes you look at opportunities to make plays. And so when you're a secondary player, sometimes there's not a lot of traffic your way. It's not, a pass that came to you or a run that came to you. So as you play the game, you might have 50 plays with not a lot going on, but on those 10 plays of opportunity, what's your performance then? And we had some guys that were, 3 of 8, 2 of 7 when you had a chance to make a play. Whether it's a play on the ball, a play on the tackle, and like I said, we just got worked. And it wasn't necessarily one-on-one, or some guys broke some tackles at linebacker and whatnot, but again, those guys made the plays. We're in position. We've got to.
Basically, dual threat like Barrett, who's, I guess, unlike anybody in the Big Ten. What has to happen for you guys to continue?
You got to, make sure that at the line of scrimmage that you're able to control their run game. It's going to be difficult because of their fly sweeps, the quarterback run, and the backs that they play, and that one back's very, very having a very, very good year. So, it starts with run game, because if the run game gets going and they can get their play action and pitch on their terms, it's very easy. And the tough deal is because they throw it enough and throw it well enough that in stopping the run game, you can't get crazy and really load up, meaning you better have if you're if your job's to guard a receiver, you better have your eyes on those receivers because they're fast and they can all make one-on-one plays. So you got to play great team defense. You can't be so lulled into just looking at the quarterback and the running game and their offensive line because they're a spread team. They're a tempo team, so they're going fast. They're multiple in personnel groupings. They'll throw, even as good as Barrett is, they'll throw some wildcat players out there where a couple of their receivers that were high school quarterbacks will do some things so they really make you work. We're going to need a great week of preparation. What they do get you, if you're not careful, vanilla. When you get vanilla, they really work you very, very good.
Injury-wise, was D'Angelo nicked up at all?
He hit his head on the turf and had a concussion. So we'll see. Again, we didn't do anything really yesterday, and today's off. We'll see it progresses. But one of those runs he just kind of when he hit, when you talk in this day and age, we got all our medical staff there, and they get things they're doing testing right with them. And if you're recalling at a certain level, they do all these tests that say, hey, you're not in a position to play. And I know he really wanted to go, but in this day and age of those issues, there's probably as many of those come from hits on the turf as far as physical hits. And I think as those issues have increased the last few years, I think the one thing people don't talk about is we play the game on a hard surface instead of the ground. And I think the more that, and so anyway, he just got a concussion. We'll see how he progresses. Jake Reed had an issue to his left hand. He should be able to play this week, but he didn't finish the game. And Rawson Evans strained his knee, didn't get a knee injury. It's going to require anything, but Rawson had a knee strain, and he missed the second half. So we'll see how those two guys progress, and hopefully they'll be with us. Outside of that, I think we're good defensively.
Anything new on Nick Stone?
Was at practice again. He just, he tweaked the ham at Michigan, held him out a week ago, looked like he could go in the game. He looked really good first last week and then re-strained it and actually in another place. So I don't know if he'll be good for this week. I know we're working hard with his senior day coming up to try to get him in the mix. He was with us last night, but we just had a film review and stretched and got our soreness out and did some young guy work and watched lifted with those guys. So he didn't really run. So it'll be a stretch this week, I would guess, but we'll see. Time will tell.
Have you talked to Xander at all about just playing in the cold? He has a couple of games now, but I assume that in high school he didn't play any kind of cold weather football. Is that something you talked to him about at all?
I talked to him at Michigan after every play. He had his hands in his warmers to get his hands out of the warmers. He would hand it off and stick his hands in the warmers. I go, hey, man, it ain't that cold. Let's go. It'll be 39-40. It's Big Ten. I don't know. We're not going to go out in the snow here tomorrow. But, like last week, we got there once or twice. We try to take advantage of it. I think the real thing just gets with the ball getting slick, because I think sometimes, when it's a little damp and cold, it's better than when it's dry. When it's dry, it's almost like it's hard to grip the ball. It almost has this little sheen on it that's hard to spin it. So it'll be interesting to see. And some guys like gloves and don't. We don't get on that with them. But, again, he's growing. He's handling. He's got a long way to go. But he's getting better. He'll have more concern with their outstanding defense than the weather. They got really, just really solid, outstanding defense. Yeah, well, not totally evaluating them from last year. This year they've had a change in coordinator, and they've made a complete structure change, and it's a little bit more in the mode of similarities to the Michigan State style of defense and their structure, their coverage, their blitzes, and of course they take advantage of their personnel. They're very, very good up front. Their defensive front's probably as good, and we played a couple really good defensive fronts. They probably got the most complete defensive front. There's some guys that made some plays on them, but at the same time they scored enough points. It hadn't been issues. They're giving up 22 points a game. I mean, they're not playing bad D. I mean, they're pretty solid. They're a solid defense. Really good.
Kevin, what did you guys do in weather like this before the advent of the indoor facilities? I mean, would you practice outside? What would you do if 15 years ago?
Yeah, and there's some places don't have them now. That one's been there, since 94, so and it's been there pushing 20 years, I guess we've had that one. Miami, Ohio, we didn't have one. So it would depend. You would have your grounds crew out and shovel it off the best you could, bundle up, and if the weather dictated you couldn't, sometimes you would just end up in tennis shoes in a gym. And you really couldn't throw the ball, but you could do your basic formation alignment and get some, you wear maybe shoulder pads. You wouldn't tackle, but you could still thump a little and get a feel for it. So if you had to, and there's some schools right now that still have to do that a little bit. trying, and again, it's been there the weeks before. There's been some of those opportunities where instead of throwing the short pass on the run pass combo, we handed it. I think it's just sometimes mentally where Xander at that time was and is, and not that he's better. And there's a couple times that they threw maybe he shouldn't have, and he got bluffed. But I think he's getting a little bit more there, and it wasn't just to get it just to Shane. Last couple weeks we tried to throw it a little bit more, of course we've been in some situations where at the end we've had two that skewed the numbers. We're still going to try to do the best we can in the running game and with Tevin and emphasize that in the line. But Shane had a good day. I thought 2 weeks ago, Penn State, told him yesterday, Anthony Casaro, we thought played his best game. And then last week, Shane really played hard. And on both days, it was their birthday. So we've officially made every game day everybody's birthday from now on. And so it's everybody's, because he had good energy, had a great attitude. And like I said, I had a player just off the side today tell me he really thought he was doing as good a job as he's ever seen anyone just in the locker room with the guys and being upbeat. You go through the quarterback change, you don't get the ball as much. I thought at Michigan when things were struggling, he was the best guy on the sideline. So I got a lot of respect for he and those seniors, like the way they've been practicing. Didn't like the second half defensively. Didn't like a couple other games offensively weeks ago. But I think we're a little bit back, more on track. And I want these seniors to lead us the right way these last few weeks. They've been a great group for 3 and 4 years based on the number of guys and who they are. And I want these guys to have their best week this week and their best 2 weeks and finish out on a high note for them.
You mentioned about the penalties. You had that stretch where you were doing well in penalties, and now you've regressed a little bit. What can be done to get that back under control?
Again, it's sometimes when you look at that, if you pull the stats up in the league, some of the better teams are some of the more penalized teams. You're aggressive, and so there's going to be some pass interferences. There's going to be some hands outside, and you get called for a hold once in a while. To me, you just want to eliminate the foolish plays. When the other day, huge play, we got it 31-23. We had a couple errors, but we're at midfield, and after the play, we push a guy back, and the guy gave us something, but they always get the hit back guy. This guy gives you a little something, a little shove, a little nudge just to, hey, I'm here, and then you want to retaliate. You always get flagged. Well, that made it second 19. And from there, they scored to make it back to now a 38-23 ball game. That to me is the penalty that's not tolerated. That was addressed. Then we still put that kid back out on the field because he's young, he needs to play, but addressing him moving forward because those are plays that are self-inflicted you don't need. If I'm blocking my tail off and my hand got out here and I torque to grab, or if I'm playing a guy one-on-one and I play through him and it's a competitive play in space and they call it PI, that's going to happen. And you can't defend the pass or block if you don't have holding penalties or pass interference to some degree. You just don't want to be grabbing people, throwing them down, obvious stupid plays. And all we've addressed about is the procedures, the non-aggressive penalties, the non-intelligent penalties, the plays that aren't smart. Those penalties need to be eliminated. If it's an aggressive play and you're going after it and you get flagged for something, that's going to happen. That's how we try to address. That's how we've always addressed it.
The biggest issue with this team is just the aggression and the attention to details, to just making sure that they know what they're doing and that they're lined up where they're supposed to be. Has that been a problem?
Give it to me again.
Just a problem with the team. Just you've talked all year about wanting to be more aggressive, and then also just guys paying attention to detail.
Yeah, well, you can say it like, for example, with the staff, the comment I made with them is that, be careful. If we coach them too much, your kids sometimes want to be pleasers and not mess up. And at the same time, we can't play so hard we're a reckless driver. So there's an aggressive way that we need to drive that's also within the rules. And, sometimes we're a little reckless, but sometimes we've had more problems being more passive and guys not cutting it loose. So my comment to the guys was, our coaching staff was, as we fix our problems, be careful we don't overcoach it, because we still need to continue to be a more aggressive, a physical, keep bringing it football team. We've done that on defense. We've been better. You've seen our offense when it's been on, and we had some issues with the injury, but when we get back to being an aggressive offense, we're a little bit better. And that's just the niche of the game. So that's, you got to play by the rules. But for where we're at too, playing by the rules, don't coach it so much you lose your stinger and you're not aggressively flying around. There's a fine line we have to balance there.
You mentioned about cutting it loose. Do you think Xander's been able to embrace that much, or is he just simply doing as you suggested, he's finally starting to take what he does on the practice field into the game? Because it just seemed like he was just so much improved this last week.
Yeah, well, again, I think for sure, David, the more he plays, the better he's getting and taking it. But also, I think we're trying to do I think initially it was like, what could he do? And I think we've gotten back to making sure what he does fits within the offense, so the offense can work for him too. And the routes being ran, and like I said the other day, we had some guys open, and we made the right reads and went to them. They didn't drop it, but we told the guys before the game, during the game, after the game, we're going to keep coming at you because we're going to have to make those plays. And so I think a little bit of it is him, but I think a little bit also is just all of us kind of getting a little bit more in sync. Not just, I think initially, not by design, I think we got a little too consumed with what's good for him. Hey, it needs to be good for him within the style of what this team can do. And I think that, like I say, outside of the receivers letting know some drops, the team played better for him the other day. And we had a couple protection issues, but it wasn't no line, a couple breakdowns. Other than that, it was a better team game. And I think because the offensive team played better, and now he's got plays under his belt, he played better. I think a little bit of both.
As you said, offense, you can really see numbers, but it's really more like what we're kind of used to seeing from Indiana offense. You had 84 plays, 870 yards, and that's kind of what we're used to seeing.
But we also got to do that and not have the turnovers and the kicking plays and penalties and the self-inflicted deals to get the W. The defense had a good half going. I don't know what we talked at halftime about maintaining. I really thought it was great to see us come out and have the good drive to start the third quarter, because I think that was going to really show something. We had deferred the kick. We had momentum going in. We get it down there. We try to play action pass, didn't work, and then we had it drop on third down after Tevin's long deal. But to me, that was a good sign. And then to let them off the hook, and then we had, to me, our error situation started in the third quarter. And I don't think it was fatigue. The offense had more plays than they had been having. The defense had fewer. But anyway, that's the crutch. And winning football teams don't do that. So again, without feeling sorry for ourselves, that was addressed. We addressed where you are in the game, in the plays, whether it be this kicking situation, this defensive situation, this offensive situation. And at the same time, I felt when it was 23-16, I felt when it was 31-16 and 31-23, our guys needed to have a little bit better look on the sideline, because you're on the road, you're in the third quarter, you're going into the fourth quarter. We're in the fourth quarter, one touchdown game on the road, and you've been playing better. Let's don't have this like, hey, everything's broken here. I mean, let's compete. And like I say, a couple of those little negatives kind of took the sting away. But we wanted to play a tough, hard second half. In some ways we did, some ways we didn't. That's disappointing.
Yeah, during time out there, first, right at the start of the fourth quarter, what happened there? Was it sort of a miscommunication? What happened?
Yeah, we took when we put the play out there to be ran. First of all, you have 25 seconds instead of 40. When the ball stops, they put it in play, and we didn't like the look. And then checking it, we just didn't have get the check in quick enough or communicate it now down the line, because you got to tell 4, 5, 6 guys because it's loud, and we had to take one because again we were across midfield, and I didn't want the delay penalty. I thought that timeout was more important because we needed those points, but we just didn't. We needed to change a play in a short amount of time, and as coaches and then as a communicator, we didn't get communicated properly. The Burlesworth, I believe it's called. He's been an outstanding player for our first year. I think week 2 or 3, just his attitude, injury as such, we took him from being a backup to a starter. He's been on scholarship now for 3 years. Been one of our game captains. He's one of our leaders. He's awesome off the field, very athletic, very smart. And we moved him to guard because we thought he'd help the line. He's an outstanding center. So again, respect him, appreciate him. He's a heck of a player. He's an awesome leader for us. Like I say, that's a heck of an honor. I think they got 40-some guys around the country that's nominated for that, and I don't know if he has a shot to win it, but he's been a 4-year starter as a walk-on, and he's really been a solid player. And Tevin's a good player, but he ain't getting NFL guys blocking for him now. I mean, he's second in the country with some guys blocking, and that guy's either blocker number 1 or blocker number 2 on that front. He's a really good player. Anything else? All right, guys, appreciate you coming for the weather. See you Sat.